Benvenuto, welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. We've been visiting family over the last week and a half or so, so we haven't uploaded a video. I think the last one was our full English breakfast a couple weeks ago, but we're going to kind of stay on that theme because today, again, we're going to make a classic British dish called bangers and mash. Now, the reason we're doing bangers and mash is haven't had this for a long time. This is a recipe that's kind of from memory from years ago from my aunt Ginger, and kind of researching it, trying to see if I remember the recipe correctly. There are so many different recipes out there for bangers and mash, so I'm going to just throw them all together and go by what I remember, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go over the ingredients quick, because there's a couple things I want to get in the pot before we start the rest of the prep. All right, so here we have got some English bangers. You might remember these from when we did the full English breakfast. I had ordered a extra package of them so we could make this. Now, rest assured, if you cannot get English bangers or sausages, you can use virtually any sausage that you want in this recipe, from mild or even hot if you want it spicy Italian sausage, to chicken to turkey. You could even make this a fully vegan dish and use your favorite meat substitute sausages. All right, so I'm going to get these in the pan because we want to get these cooked. So I've got my pan on low. I'm going to increase it a little bit here. Just warming up. So we're just going to give it a little squirt of avocado oil, I believe. And we're going to get our bangers in the pot. And these, you want to cook them somewhat slowly. We want a nice brownage to them. I don't think that's a word. We want a nice caramelization, but we don't want them to get too dark, burn on the edges and stuff. So we're going to do these somewhat slow. So these are going to take the longest to cook, so we're going to get those in there now. Okay, and we'll finish up with the ingredients. Of course, we're going to need some salt and pepper. There's not a ton of different seasonings in this recipe. Salt and pepper is one of them. Okay, so bangers and mash. So mash refers to mashed potatoes. All right, and what makes this dish special is the onion gravy. All right, so I've got about, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm going to say this recipe is for 4. All right, so maybe plan on 2 sausages per person. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So technically that's for 3 people, but all the other ingredients are going to be for, or the measurements are going to be for 4. So let's go back. So we need some potatoes. Okay, I'm using Yukon Golds. I think in this type of recipe, this is going to work the best, other than maybe a russet or something, because these are going to have a little bit more waxy. They're going to be a little bit more waxy and hold up in our mashed potatoes. And of course, for our onion gravy, we're going to need at least 2 large yellow onions. You could do red if you want. I'm going to use yellow. And of course, we want at least 2 large ones. I've got 2 small ones and a large one, because we want to have a lot of gravy. And then for our gravy, I'm going to use some beef broth. I don't have any more homemade. I need to make a batch of homemade, but we're going to use some store-bought beef broth. I think we're probably going to need anywhere between 2 and 4 cups. Like I said, I'm kind of going by this on memory. So as we start to cook, I'll keep in mind the measurements that we use, and that'll be in the written recipe, of course, on cherryhillhomecooking.com. All right, and I'm going to use a little bit of vegetable base to give our sauce some extra flavor. You could use beef if you want. I'm trying to kind of keep this as close to vegetarian as I can. So certainly if you want to use beef, you can. So let's give these, see, they're just starting to brown up nice here. That one's not as brown. But again, we want them to just slowly brown, so we get a nice caramelization on there. All right, so let's continue with our ingredients. And now I don't remember if my Aunt Ginger used Marmite. I'm sure most Americans have heard of Marmite. We don't often use it. It's very popular, of course, in the UK and Australia. Australia uses Vegemite, I think, more. So what this is a yeast extract, and it is actually vegan. And it doesn't have well, it does. I can't describe the smell of it to you, but we're gonna put a little bit in it because I've seen a couple recipes that put some in it, and I've seen that put mustard in it too. They don't put the mustard in it when they use the Marmite, so we're gonna use the Marmite. Of course, we're gonna do some we're gonna boil potatoes, so we're gonna use, I think we're gonna use about 6 cups. I only got 4 here, but I'll get 2 more, but we're gonna just use some Knox beef bouillon, unsalted, so we're not adding any additional salt to it. We're gonna use a little bit of cornstarch to make a slurry to thicken everything up. And then, of course, we need some sea salt for our potatoes. All right, I think that's all the ingredients. I'm gonna let these cook a little while. I'm gonna put away the rest of the stuff. I'll prep the potatoes and the onions, and we'll be back. Okay, our sausages are getting nice and browned. We're gonna cook those more or less through. They are gonna warm up in the gravy once we're done. And also, once I get them to the point that brown I want, I've got my oven set at 200, so I'm gonna keep them warm in the oven. I just wanted to quickly go over our onions and our potatoes and show you at least the way how I do them. All right, so obviously I've peeled my potatoes and I just got them in some water for the time being so they don't turn too brown. This is a thick onion. All right, so again, one of the most important things about bangers and mash is the gravy. So we want to make a delicious onion gravy. Okay, so we're going to start by, so I just cut the onion in half, and then whatever way you prefer it, but I'm just going to slice them. Not paper thin. I don't know, that's probably about 1/4 of an inch maybe, right? And we're just gonna chop all of our onions up like that. All right, that one we can put aside for now. And then of course with our potatoes, our goal here is that, you know, they're all relatively about the same size, but we're gonna kind of not cube them maybe. So they cook about the same, all about the same. All right, so about that big, that's pretty good. Now, if you don't even have to peel the potatoes, you really don't want to. Just scrub them really good, make sure they're nice and clean. And, you know, if you're using a thin skinned potato like that, like with a Yukon Gold, you'll have no problem mashing those up. All right, so I'm gonna peel the rest of the potatoes. We'll chop up the rest of the, I'm sorry, I'm going to slice the rest of the onions. And I haven't had anything to drink yet either, but it's late in the evening. So we're gonna do up the rest of the onions and chop up our potatoes, and then we'll come back. By then, our sausages should kind of be where we want them to be. See you in a little bit. Okay, you'll see my sausages are nicely browned. I'm gonna cover them. And like I said, I've got the oven set at 200. I'm just gonna put them in there and keep them warm. They'll also continue to cook. All right, so we've got our onions all sliced up. There's several things I forgot to go over, of course, in the ingredients, but that'll all be written down. Of course, we're gonna need some whole milk for our mashed potatoes and some butter. We're also going to need some butter to saute or caramelize our onions. All right, so in this pot, I've got our cut up potatoes, and I've got 6 little packets of this Herb Ox. I think I said Knorr, but it's Herb Ox. Again, that's just beef bouillon. It's unsalted, so we're not adding any additional salt. You don't have to do it, but those of you that have watched us cook know I don't like to cook potatoes in just water. And we got some sea salt. Need a nice tablespoon or so. All right, and then making mashed potatoes is pretty basic. We're going to bring this over the stove. I have it on high, so it'll come up to temperature quick. We're going to cover it. Okay, so then as soon as that starts to boil, we're going to turn it down to a simmer, and we're going to let that simmer for should be about 10 minutes, not much more than that. All right, so we're going to just continue going on here. Let's clean up our messy stove a little bit, if we can, or cooktop. It's just going to get messy again anyway, but all right, because this is, of course, one of the most important parts of this dish is our onion gravy. All right, so I'm going to just let that, nope, doesn't like this pan. I thought I tried it. I thought it liked this pan, but it doesn't. That's a aluminum bottomed pan. Let me just try. Maybe I moved it. It's kind of big, I think, for here. All right, I'll be right back. Technical difficulties. Okay, this pan works. Again, for those that have watched us, Wade, this was one of my Christmas gifts, which I love. This is an induction cooktop, so that we could do it here instead of having to have my back to you always at the range. But anyway, so I wanted to use that other pan because it's a bigger pan, and we're going to add some sauce to it, but we'll make it work. All right, so I've been letting this heat up a little bit. We're just going to give it a shot of some oil, and we're going to get our onions in the pot. Now, our goal with these is to caramelize them. All right, not burn them, but start to caramelize them, which will bring out all their sweetness. So, got a big dose of onion there, right up my nose. So right now I've got this on about medium-high to start them. And we're just gonna have to stand here and saute them. Unfortunately, there's nothing else you really can do, because you got to keep an eye on them because they will burn very quickly. All right, so we'll get those going. I'm going to give it a little tiny dash of salt. That will help with to bring the liquid out and caramelize them a bit. And again, we've got some butter. I'm going to let those cook a little bit before I add some butter. And one of the things, certainly we're not going to use this much sugar, but a couple good pinches of sugar once they get to a certain point, and we'll do that when they get to it. We'll help them brown up and caramelize even more. All right, so I'm going to sit here for the next, or I should say stand here, for the next 4 or 5 minutes and let these do their thing. All right, we've been sauteing our onions here for about just about 4 minutes. They're starting to pick up a little bit of color. All right, I'm going to give them another little pinch of salt. All right, and we're going to put a couple teaspoons of butter in there. And stir them around. Again, this is something you have to keep a pretty close eye on, guys, because we're caramelizing them. So we want them to cook nice and slow and develop all that sugar. All right, so again, this is probably going to take another 5 minutes. So, oh, by the way, our potatoes came to a boil. I've turned them down to a simmer, and they have about 5 minutes to go. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, guys, so you can see our onions are starting to take on a nice amber color. There's a little bit of font on the bottom there, a little bit of caramelized the butter and stuff. All right, I'm gonna actually turn this down now to just about medium. I'm gonna put one little more pat of butter. I'm gonna put some pepper. Salt and pepper to taste. And I'm going to put just a tiny little bit more salt. And I'm going to put a couple pinches of sugar. All right, and I'm going to get that all coated, and we're going to give those another 3 or 4 minutes. Well, it helps caramelize it a little bit more, and it does give it a little bit of sweetness, because this is really a sweet and savory gravy. So it's such a small amount. You could not put it in, but I mean, I don't even think we put in. That wasn't even really a 1/4 of a teaspoon. Yeah. All right, so we'll let that do its thing for a few more minutes. In the meantime, let's check on our potatoes, see how they're doing. And our potatoes are fork tender. Oops, sorry about that, hon. I should have put that on. So our potatoes are fork tender, guys. Okay. All right, I'm going to drain those in a second. I'm going to turn it off for now. I'm going to drain them, let them hang out in the colander for a few minutes so that they get nice and dry. And I am going to save a little bit of that starchy water to deglaze our onions here. So, all right, let me go grab a strainer and we'll be back. All right, guys, so I'm going to strain our potatoes. I've taken a little bit of the water out. I've got it right there in the cup, just so that we can deglaze our pan with that. And I'm just going to put that back in the pan. I'm going to actually mash them in that pan as well, but I'm just going to put that there. Let them steam. I think our onions are almost perfect. While we wait for that, so I'm going to make a slurry. I'm going to start with about a 1/2 cup of cornstarch, and when we're ready, we'll add 1/2 cup of cold water. That should be, I'm not sure exactly how much we're gonna need, how much cornstarch, so, but that should be more than enough that we won't have to stop and make it again. I'd rather have too much. Oh, there we go. I can hear you all laughing. I do that every single time. Cannot handle cornstarch. I'm going to just set that there for now. Get fork ready. Those look mighty fine to me, and you can see all the onions kind of really does reduce. I am a little bit worried. I'm not going to have, you know what? Just to be on the safe side, I'm not going to mash my potatoes in that pan. I'm going to take that, move that pan over for me. The whole pan, just, right. I'm going to transfer these to this. Now, just so that you don't mess up an extra pot, you use a bigger frying pan than I did. So I'm gonna finish our gravy in this pan. In a second. And we'll mash our potatoes in a bowl. All right, so I'm gonna just take a little bit of that. I just took a tiny bit, not even a half a cup of our potato water. And just gonna deglaze my pan here. All right, I'll be back. We're gonna transfer this to the bigger pan. So we have, but you can see that all, just got all the nice brown bits off. All right, we'll be back. I'm gonna transfer it to the other pan and we'll finish up our onion gravy. Okay, well, this is a good example of why I should test all my equipment before I start making a big meal, because now that won't work on here either. So we're gonna finish our gravy on the stove. But first, we're gonna make our mashed potatoes. Now, we have a recipe for mashed potatoes, which is a little bit more milk and cream and so on and so forth. But for this particular recipe, we want it, I think, a little on the rustic side. This is completely up to you how much butter or milk you like, how smooth you want the potatoes. I'm gonna leave them a little bit so there's a little bit of consistency to it, but depending upon how mashed you want them to be. All right, so I put probably in total about 1.5 teaspoons of potatoes in there. Butter. Sorry guys, my cooking utensils have got my brain scattered. So again, it's up to your taste how creamy you want these to be. And of course, if you want to keep this vegetarian or vegan, use substitute for the bacon in your milk. Butter. All right, I think we're just this entire video will be what is it? A blooper's reel. There's no bacon in this recipe, guys. I think it's because I'm hungry. When we were on vacation last week, I ate something or had some stomach bug that kind of threw me for a loop for the last 2 days of our vacation. So I didn't get to enjoy all the nice food I wanted to be able to enjoy. And then when we got home, I still was really watching what I was eating because I wanted to make sure whatever was there was gone. So I think I'm just looking forward to eating. Although we went out to a beautiful dinner last night and I did eat. So that's about 1/4 cup of milk. Again, depending upon how luxurious you want your potatoes to be. This is a new masher. I broke my masher a while ago, my hand masher. And, of course, I don't think about it until I needed it. So I knew it was going to be, I was going to use it today, would need a potato masher. And would you believe I had to go to I went to the supermarket. They didn't have one. Then I went to that other big, gigantic nationwide store that I go to because you have to, because there's no place else to go to. Begins with a W. Can you believe they did not have one potato masher in that entire gigantic store? So then I had to go to another supermarket anyway, and they had one. And so this is the first time using this potato masher. All right, I'm gonna give it a little taste. We haven't put a lot of salt in this. It was just in our water. It's absolutely delicious. I am going to put a little pepper. You can use white or black pepper. Oh, that's good. Give that a good mix before we put everything together. Okay, I'm going to put that in the oven. Keep that warm. While I'm over here, I might as well get our sausages out of the oven. Delicious. And I'm gonna move this. Don't be showing them my dirty oven. It's filthy. Good thing I cleaned the stovetop today, huh? I wasn't planning on having to use it. All right, I'm gonna just throw these in here to keep those warm. All right, so let's go on. While we're here, let's not cut. Let's editing for our wonderful Wade to have to do. And I'm gonna turn that up to high. No, I'm not. I'm going to turn that back to medium because I want to get our slurry first. So remember, our slurry is usually half and half, so we've got a half a cup of cornstarch. And you always want to use cold water. I'm sure you can all hear me still, though. All right, so we'll put that in our... And you just want to give it a good stir. And make sure you don't have any lumps or anything. And we can put that aside. All right, now I'm going to turn this back up to high because we want this to be warm when we pour in our beef stock. So I'm going to start with about 2 cups, guys, and then we'll see where we are. This box is 4 cups. That's just about 2 cups. And we got lots of onions in there, so I think I'll actually add a little bit more. Go up to about 3 cups, maybe 2.5. All right, now, as I said, we want this to be almost at a boil when we put our slurry in. So now we're going to add, sorry I had everything set up over there for you guys, but so we got our vegetable. Our vegetable better than bouillon. Just give it a little extra flavor. So I'm going to put in about a good rounded teaspoon of that. Also add some color to it as well. There just in case I want some more, and then we're going to put a little bit of Marmite in there. I don't remember, pretty sure, I don't know if my Aunt Ginger put this in or not, but I've seen it, so we're going to do just about that much. So half a teaspoon. All right, now if you've got experience with Marmite and you like it, then adjust it to how you like it. We have never had it before. I don't think, have we ever had it? I don't ever recall. All right, so our gravy is up to boiling. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more. Drop the cover on the ground. Because even if we don't use this all tonight, then we'll have some over the next day or so. But all right, so I'm going to say that's closer to the full 3 cups. Yeah. All right, so we got our Marmite in there. We got our vegetable bouillon base. And we got our slurry already. Now you could do this with a flour, but I like the glossiness of slurry gives to a gravy. So again, with this, we're going to start to, I'm going to turn it down from high to about medium. We're going to slowly start to stir this in. It's easier to add more stock if we need it. And that will begin, you can see it's already started to thicken. And I'm going to even turn it down to lower. And that's going to, it really depends upon how thick you want your gravy. I want it to be maybe not quite as thick as, say, Thanksgiving gravy. Maybe just a tad bit thinner. That looks perfect to me. All right. Let's see. What did we think, guys? See? That looks just where I want it. All right, we're gonna taste this. It should have enough goodness in here and be delicious, but just in case. Delicious. All right, that's gonna go to low. And we're gonna put our bangers in them, into our gravy. Let me grab something to put them with. And I just see guys, how I always warn you, if you have a pan in the oven, excuse me, and I need to get a minute. If you have a pan in the oven, put something on top of it. Good thing that was only at 200 degrees, because I would have burned myself really bad. I'm just gonna put our little bit of drippings in there. All right, that is done. We're gonna let those sit in there on low for about 10 minutes, okay? Get everything warmed through, and then it's supper time. See you when it's supper time. Okay, guys, I just wanted to show you how to plate it up before we sit down and have our bangers and mash. Put a nice little dollop of mashed potatoes. A couple of our bangers. And put some of our delicious gravy. Let the potatoes show a little bit. And we got some, need a little bit of greenage. Got some peas. Not too much. We don't want anything good to spoil all the, meaning good for you. And there you have it. Hopefully, delicious bangers and mash. Well, we got through this video with all the little mishaps here or there. It's just goes to prove you, this is actually our dinner tonight, and we are shooting this live. So it's not like I had all the ingredients that I could just say, oh, let's start over again. So let's dig in. I don't know about you, but I want to try our delicious potatoes and onion gravy first.
Yeah, let's start the bangers first.
Oh, those are delicious. You can taste that little umami in the background from the that umami taste from the Marmite. That's actually delicious.
That is delicious, isn't it?
Now, let's see, what about the bangers?
Oh,
The bangers are really good too.
yeah, it all goes together well.
I guess those English and the Irish and the Scottish, they know comfort food. Again, like I said, you can use basically any sausage. I mean, the onion gravy I think is really good, and that really is what this dish is all about. I think. Let's try a.
Very nice.
Let's try a. So I got some onion gravy, onion, the sausage, potatoes.
Very delicious.
I got some cornbread here. I don't think that's very traditional, but I walked by, it was on sale, and I love the cornbread. So I got some. Now, we just had this at a local pub up in the area that we've gone to.
Yep.
Although they make their own fresh bangers there. I'm gonna find out if you can purchase them and cook them at home. But whose is better, mine or theirs?
Yours.
Thank you. That's pretty good. Wow.
It is.
I'm gonna enjoy this. So that's all I have to say.
Remember to like and subscribe and check out cherryhillhomecooking.com. See you in the next video.
Ciao.
Bye. This came out excellent.
I almost didn't think we'd make it, but it is very good.
It was worth it.